Well, good morning. It's Monday morning, the start of a new week, and I thought I'd spend a little bit of time sharing with you. Typically, what I do is I have my cup of coffee, Bible, and prayer early in the morning, not necessarily in that order, but I thought maybe I'd share a little bit with you from our verse of the week and an encouraging word as we get started again with another stay at home type of week for kids and parents. Many of our parents going through this time of social isolation, and I hope that this will be an encouragement to you. You know, there are times when I do what is right because I know it's right to do, but I really don't feel like doing it. In other words, my desires conflict with what I know in my heart is right. And I think that's what the Apostle Paul went through in Romans 7. He talked about the things that I should do, I don't do, and the things I shouldn't be doing, I do anyway. And he said, "Who shall deliver me from this?" And he goes on to explain how Christ makes that possible. Well, the verse of the week this week is found in Philippians chapter 2 and verses 12 and 13. And to me, really addresses this problem by showing us how God works in us to get our desires to be his desires. And I think it's not an easy thing because there's so many times I feel like I'm going on a tangent from what God is wanting for me to do. You know, we hear that saying, Nike, just do it. And while that probably works, it doesn't always work. And there are some times when, you know, the desire's not there, the ability's not there, and you need something more. You need something supernatural. So here's what Paul says in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 12. It says, "Therefore, dear friends, just as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but even more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who is working in you both to will and to work his good pleasure." Now, at first glance, you think, work out your salvation? I thought salvation was by grace through faith. And it is. But what Paul is really saying is that if you have a genuine faith, the works will be flowing from that. In other words, faith works it from the inside out. But sometimes it doesn't happen joyfully or in an excited way. And that's why he goes on to say in verse 13, it's God who works in you both to will, in other words, he works on your desires, and to do, not just raw obedience. There are some times I think, you know what, I'm going to obey because I know it's the right thing to do. But I'd much rather be motivated by a desire where my desires are matching God's desires. Because when you do that, there's peace of mind, peace with others, and there's a joy that goes along with that. And so as you think about that verse this week and meditate on it, you may be doing the Fighter Verses with us already, a verse of the week, or jumping in for the first time. You know, ask the Lord to help shape your desires to be what he desires. And that sounds a little bit like you're surrendering a good life to someone else, but in all truthfulness, when you surrender your desires to be his desires, it's the best life you can possibly have. So that's another one of those anchor verses that we just hold on to, we'll go back to again and again. And I trust that as you think on this and meditate on it during the week, that it'll just encourage your heart in a great way. Have a great week.